So in last week's episode of My Hero Academia, we had a lot of really interesting things happen. Of course, we had the reveal of the origin of One for All, which, yeah, pretty cool and all, but I was honestly more interested in the dynamics being shown between Endeavor and his family, so let's talk about that. And if you enjoy these deeper looks into series like My Hero Academia, remember to leave a like and subscribe for more content in the future. And if you want to support the channel a bit extra, or just want to be more active in the community, remember to check out the description for links to my Discord, my Twitter, and my Patreon. But with that being said, let's get into the actual video. So Endeavor is a pretty interesting character. When we're introduced to him, we see him as the second place hero who is about as close to a villain as possible, as opposed to characters like All Might, who are these kind of stereotypical heroic designs that are larger than life and colorful. We have Endeavor, who has this dark costume with flames bursting out of it, and this angry face to go along with it. While All Might has this deep, proud voice, Endeavor has this gruff-sounding one. The contrast between these two characters is very apparent, and I even did a video about it nearly a year ago. What I didn't really mention in that video is the dynamic between Endeavor's family, though. It's pretty clear to anyone who has watched the show that Endeavor is kind of... how do I say this in a polite way? Yes, a dogshit person. He married a woman purely for the purpose of having kids who could surpass All Might after he failed to do so himself. He alienated those children, abused them, abused his wife, and drove her to the point of having a mental break where she would pour boiling hot water onto her son's face. The list goes on, but like I said, the summary is that he's kinda dogshit. Something interesting happened though, and that's All Might's fight with All for One. At the end of the fight, All Might is unable to continue his role of being number one hero, and Endeavor is propped up to take his place. Everything he ever wanted, surpassing All Might, was forced onto him. He didn't earn it, and he didn't even surpass All Might himself. Instead, he replaced him. It was the perversion of his dream, and it was pressed onto him in what he would probably consider to be the worst way possible, only being in title and not in merit.
I don't accept it. Not like this. I should have earned it myself, not by him failing.
Being gifted your goal can cheapen things at the best of times, but for Endeavor, this might be exacerbated quite a bit. It wasn't just something he poured his life's work into, he formed his entire life around it. His marriage, his kids, and all the frustration and abuse that he put into those things were now things that he set up for no reason. He had hurt all of these people for something that eventually would have happened on its own anyways, leaving him in a situation where there really isn't anything else to work for, and instead he has to live his life that he has set up for himself, a life where everyone around him resents and hates him, and yeah, for good reason. So let's take a quick look at those who are most important in Endeavor's life. We have his wife, who is in a mental hospital and still dealing with all the things that he put her through. He isn't allowed to visit her for fear of damaging her mental health more, but that said, he does still bring her flowers once a month for the nurses to give to her. Then we have his children, Shoto, Natsuo, and Fuyumi. Fuyumi is the most hopeful of the children, and despite everything that's happened, she only really wishes for the opportunity to have a normal family. She understands everything that's happened, but at the same time, she has a belief that people can change or improve over time. Shoto is a little bit less sure. While he's impressed by his father as a hero, he is still fully aware of everything that he's done. If any of the three children had a reason to hate Endeavor, it would be Shoto. He was born with the perfect mix of his parents' quirks, and as such, Endeavor would separate him from his siblings and force him to train, beating him and essentially just being an all-around dickling. Despite this, Shoto is at least open to the idea of his dad changing and understanding that who he was is not exactly who he's going to end up being. Finally, we have Natsuo, and Natsuo is very much against the idea of his father coming around more, which, seeing as he's older than Shoto, I get why he might be more opposed to it. As soon as Shoto was born, Natsuo and Fuyu would more or less lose any attention that their father was giving them. Not only that though, but there is also something I've been intentionally leaving out, and that's that there is a fourth child. We've seen a few clips of him here and there, but Toya, the fourth kid, seems to be missing, and more specifically, Natsuo seems to blame Endeavor, which, based on Endeavor's history with his kids, either means that he probably either accidentally killed Toya, Or he injured them and he would eventually grow up to be Dabi, but that's still a theory at this point. Regardless, Natsuo brings up a point in the last episode saying that Endeavor kind of just decided to make these changes himself. Sure, it's great that he wants to amend things and try to be better, but that doesn't automatically mean that the ones that he hurt want that. It doesn't mean that they're ready for him to come back into their lives, and it doesn't mean that it's even a good thing for him to be there. And that's kind of the sad reality of it. Yeah, people can do bad things, and they can change, or want to be better or do better in the future, but you can't force people to forgive or accept you, and pressing that issue can just show it to be a selfish desire to fend off your own guilt. The idea that just because you are doing something good, or at least trying to, automatically means that everyone will be on board with it inherently is pretty flawed. And sometimes it's better to just let everyone move on with their lives. And I would say that this selfish view of the world around him is more so his big flaw than his anger or even his abusiveness was. It's this selfishness and his inability to understand the world around him that causes him to blindly chase after All Might to the point of abusing his kids. Even to this day, he doesn't understand simple things like the perspective his fans have of him. And that isn't to say that he's wrong for trying to fix the mistakes he's made, but I do think that it goes a long way for making his character all the more flawed and all the more interesting. For as horrible as a person that Endeavor was, I can understand how all of that goes into making him a character that I just can't help but want to see more of, which is likely why his own story is often paralleled with the world around him. Like I said, Endeavor is super flawed. By all accounts, he's a monster. To say that there's very little separating how he saw having a family and the creation of the Nomu is an understatement. The idea of someone combining quirks to create something more powerful, it's just an exaggeration of what Endeavor was trying to do with his own family. Which is why we have this focus on Endeavor overcoming and defeating the Nomu, literally overcoming who he was in the past. But he doesn't do that on his own. He needs the support of Hawks to actually finish the fight, and he needs the support of the pink-haired boy to sway public opinion during the fight. Despite this, the news only a few days later show a mixed opinion of Endeavor, some people saying that he didn't do good enough or that he isn't doing enough in general, and others saying that they fully support him. Going from here, Endeavor needs to make a real effort if he wants his family back in any capacity, but just as in the fight with the Nomu, he'll need the support and approval of those that he's trying to connect with in order to actually succeed with this goal. And even then, it isn't like it's going to be a perfect fix. But with that said, I'll pose the question to you. Do you think Endeavor deserves a second chance after what he's done, or should he just move on and let his family continue to live their lives? Even the simple action of giving flowers to his wife while she's in the hospital can be kind of traumatic for her, so is it worth it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you want to see more of these kind of analysis videos in the future, remember to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, a big thank you goes out to my Patreon, with our Dai Yokai, Iffy Babes, Ikerochu, and Jacob Wiley, our Yokai, Amelia Hellman, NL Cruz, Bloodwolf Mon, Jamie Heck, Janice Not Janice, Lucifina Akuma, and our Hanyo, Alexandra Gartside, Anthony Hogan, Eli Kanem, Kiwi Dog, Love the Kiwi, Michael Grayco, Nega Kitty, Randy Moseyman, Samantha Olsen, Savage Camel, and Suki Neko. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, remember to stay excellent.